Well, well, well. If it isn't another well intro with me, your boy, Jake, on the Jog channel. It's the one and only here with another, I think we're doing a on masculinity, in this series of on masculinity, whatever. I just kind of wanted to define toxic masculinity, and give a little bit of a reason why it's so bad. I'll have the definition on screen. And I think it's a pretty apt description of how, it looks. And notice how, too, it points out that it's regardless of the outcome, right? And I think this is what's so important about toxic masculinity is that it's inherent, or not inherent, but its alleged utility ends up being the very corrosion that it is attempting to get rid of. What do we mean by examples when we say toxic masculinity, right? The alpha beta stuff. I would even argue the sigma thing is a part of it too, kind of giving these roles for people that's toxic, as you'll see in psychological research. Displays of hyper masculinity and downplaying or dismissing forms of more feminine, for lack of a better word, expressing masculinity. Kinds of like demeaning emotional expression, labeling that as you're such a effing pussy, like grow the F up, be a man, man up. We've got stuff where it's like, men aren't very manly, or we measure them, their manliness based on how masculine they appear. But if you're a man, you're manly. It's that easy. If you identify as a man, you're man. It's wow. It's that simple. But instead, when we live in a very regressive and reactionary society, it's very difficult to get people not just to change and adapt and recognize things are different, but also to actually. Sorry about this mic thing. I'm still trying to work on the sounds. I know it kind of goes back and forth between that quality thing. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this, but I digress. Toxic masculinity just has all these staple behaviors to it. That's pretty indicative of what makes it so problematic, why people hate it so much, and why it's so bad. And one of the biggest reasons that it's important to start excuse me again. One of the important reasons that it's so important to start criticizing this and developing a more positive masculinity is because it is so toxic. It just is so corrosive. It causes us to deteriorate in quality, to regress. It causes us to form to these molds that we shouldn't be participating in. And I think, as I'll go more into this series, this isn't just about men, using toxic masculinity. This is about toxic masculinity and, when men, women, or NBs use it, and how we use it and how we identify it with these traditional macho, anti-hero kinds of be cold, be stoic, show no emotion. You'll even see that the philosophy of stoicism, which is becoming even more popular, at least online these days, is also pretty, defined, at least within masculine terms traditionally. And you'll notice pretty quickly that there's, a kind of inability to reconcile or assimilate the non-masculine, which we keep calling the feminine, but that's not what feminine is. It's not. Femininity is not non-masculinity, and masculinity is not non-femininity. They're not mutually exclusive, even though they are different things. These kinds of basic concepts, right? Just talking about these basic, gender ideas is pretty important to our understanding about what it means to accept each other and see each other. And I think we've really fallen back onto all different kinds of habits that are pretty symptomatic of toxic masculinity. And those don't start and end at men screaming or, acting like children, or like the police or military or whatever it is. This includes women. This includes, how women also perpetuate, or NBs too, or whoever it is, right? I would argue that, fetishizing and sexualizing confidence, for example, which is a pretty popular thing that a lot of women are attracted to, and, people are just attracted to that in general. But what you find is that confidence, a person's confidence, is directly relative to how they were raised, how much a person received enough love to receive or to create genuine confidence, in themselves to genuine belief in themselves. And if it wasn't genuine belief, it would come off as this not confidence, right? As an arrogance or ridiculousness that some people would fall for, but it wouldn't be bought for, by and large. People would be able to kind of cast that out and see that it's BS. But what you still see is that this trait of, almost compensating for the forced state that passivity, some forms of feminine expression can exist in, or the state of submission, right? And how like the patriarchy imposes dominance to enforce submission onto the feminine concepts and stuff like that. It's just another way of compensating for that. It's like a codependent relationship, kind of, when both of these parties, when we all need to be not just more confident, not just more articulate, not just more empathetic, but also more patient and cooperative. There's this weird thing where it's like admitting when we're wrong is seen as like less masculine, or you're supposed to be, even just the idea of a leader, you're supposed to be more, like you can never break, you can never be wrong, and that's just yet another trait. And you can see how these things would cause problems with people, how they would cause people to really suffer if we keep holding them to these very unhealthy standards. So hopefully we'll kind of just, define this more in the next one. We'll describe more. Thanks again for watching, guys. Maybe I'll start making longer videos. I don't know. You got to let me know what you think and see what you think out of these. So thanks again. See you in the next one. Take it easy.